Hey, Laura JeH, standing firm in my faith today. Not because it came from a book that I don't agree with all of the bull from, but because I stand in the faith that life is about more than just what we see. I believe there is an energetic, mythic, and symbolic level to life that when we are looking at it from a literal perspective, we cannot see. Faith does not live in the literal realm. We cannot see faith. We feel it, it is resonant. My name's Laura JeH, and I'm an empowerment coach with an alternative approach that sings sometimes. And I wrote a book called Fully Committed, The Sacred Sojourn of the Soul, after getting locked up under the Mental Health Act. Having been writing a book for 5 years that then took 1 month to write because I cleared enough of my own emotional baggage to be able to actually create something that would serve others, to save others from the experience of going through what I did, to gain those lessons that I hope will save you from having to go through them the way that I did, which include the mental health system. I went to a low space when I didn't know how to bring about my vision in 2018, 2017 before that too, 2016 before that too, 2015 when I moved back from England and gave up a fully provided for life because there was no respect, or the respect was lacking, and therefore it wasn't a solid foundation to build a life on. And I finally stepped into the sacred side of my inner prostitute that knows what I won't sell out for. That's what the sacred side is able to do. The scared side will trade for something. We know our work. We know the number. We know the point. We know what it would take for us to sell out in the scared side. But in the sacred side, we know at what point we will not. And why I stand as firmly today, and why I stand instead of sit to deliver this message, is because when I went through what was actually an awakening in September 2019, after 3 weeks that were out of this world, particularly the last one, where I was actually at the Hilton Embassy Suites, where there was a CIA FBI agent conference happening while I was there, which I followed BrainTap over to there in the first place, which was why I was there when that happened. And the amount of stuff that took place, the signs, symbols, omens I started noticing while I was there were out of this world. It was not normal because I was dialed into the energetics of things, which the literal can't relate to. And so that was ultimately when the fight between the fearful and faithful got way too big for me to be able to handle within myself. And I knew I wouldn't be able to survive myself coming back into here after having went to low places previous to when I was at such an expanded state. I knew I couldn't survive the contraction of coming back here to all the judgments, all the projections. I knew I wouldn't survive myself. And so I made a crazy call and I changed my life. And then I got locked up for 2.5 weeks because no one could see what I energetically could perceive. And nobody understood the BS belief systems that I, just like any other book, was trying to put forward. And what I found when I went through the mental health system in September 27th, 2019 was the day I called the police to report the system was corrupt and they were in on it, but there must be some good ones in it still. And I'm here to bring peace to this world. And so take me to your leaders and let's get this going. And actually, back in Arizona, I had hosted what I thought was meant to be the preliminary peace summit that didn't happen when it was supposed to, when it was scheduled, but did happen in the middle of the night that night. And I was ready for the meeting that took place in my suite at the Hilton Embassy Suites. And this crazy, this is a long message that I don't necessarily know everyone wants to sit through. How do you condense a story as crazy as that? You don't. Some will, some won't. Who cares? Next. That's the MLM, multi-level marketing, direct sales adage of every minnow knows a whale. Just find as many minnows as it takes to get your whale. And ultimately, that is so transactional and usury. And yet, there is also truth and wisdom to it because not everyone wants to go to the levels that you may or that I do consciously. Awareness is a spiral staircase. Enlightenment is like a spiral staircase. We're constantly going up this spiral staircase. And each time we go up a little bit, it's a different view, it's a different vantage point. It looks different, but the same. And we're like, what? I don't get it because we're still where we are. And our awareness just shifted slightly. And now it's everything's different. And it's just so frustrating. But we're not meant to stay as we are. We're not meant to live in our comfort zone. We are meant to expand. We are meant to grow. That is why we're here. This whole thing is designed to help our souls evolve, to learn the lessons. And we couldn't do it alone, which is why we've been put into this insanity of what has become a shared program, the con video game. I'm not buying the con, and I know many others are not on with it either. And yet there are many that are because there isn't a better option available, which is why I've created album 23. And this is how we're going to actually weave stronger interwebs so that we can discern truth, we can feel it, and then we don't have to react. Instead, we can create and we can choose how we're going to actually use the energy we have access to. The time, energy, effort, attention, and money that make up our life, those are the energetic resources we're playing with. And sometimes it isn't nice how we position ourselves, especially when we're using someone else's BS in order to make ourselves feel enough when we were worthy the whole time. We just maybe didn't feel it because our inner web wasn't strong enough.